Um, there's yeah, I this no, it's like a D9. Although I'm in Capo land, so yeah, it's an E9. Yeah. Uh, I think it's not notated in the music. Hopefully, I'm not going against anybody else. I think I didn't like. My chords on there are not as like elaborate. Do we want? I think it sounds fine. All right. Is there anything else we need to go through?
No. Well,
Um,
yeah, we just want to understand the
Yeah.
Vishamru. How many parts are there to it?
There's 3 verses. Every chorus is twice each time, and then there's the 3 verses.
Okay, but other
so
than that-
chorus, verse, chorus, verse, verse, and back to the chorus. There'll be 4 choruses total, right? Chorus, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, verse 3, chorus. Yeah, 4
But
choruses.
nothing else crazy.
Repeat each time. Yeah.
That's what we wanted.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to sing all at one time. They were the rapid action. I thought they were
Okay. How do you want to introduce? I mean, what intro do you want to do? Or not?
I'll just start with like a vamp. Visham. I'll do that. We'll have like a little break there, like
Okay.
a little break after 8 bars. I think that is. Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Visham.
It's helpful having your guitar too, so thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
glad
you
I
for
went to
doing
get
that.
it. I went upstairs because Regina has a guitar up there, our educator, Cantor Regina, and I take it out of it's a Taka Mini. It's a good guitar. I take it out. It's missing the 6th string. So then I was like, and there's no strings, and I was looking for a string I could put it on there. Like, there's none in there. So I was like, I have strings down here, but I really didn't want to. I hate taking like one string out of the package. It's
Yeah.
like, then I don't have a full set. So I was like, yeah, I should just go get my guitar because I'm like used to playing my guitar.
Yeah.
So thank you for the. It's been kind of one of those days we've been like running around all over the place. So.
We've been there.
All right.
Oh my God. What did you guys do? Did you see dinner or something? Or did you have
Sounds like heaven.
No, yesterday morning. Went to get he's out of school. He does
Totally understand.
computers. Okay. He has a week off. Anyways, from getting when he heard this rattling, his whole back windshield was smashed. You're kidding. And he was the only one. He parks in the street near his house. Well, he finally got out to the neighbor's thing. Just became a day. Has done that to people before. They've taken his parking. I don't think he had proof, but that's the only thing I figure out.
Yeah, but this was
Only
his
car
first.
on the whole
This was his
street
first.
that had the whole, he showed a picture, big round hole in the back. So called him hallucination. They got it fixed already.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah, so
Cousin of
he's,
mine,
my son, he's 20,
Darren died 20 years old.
he said he's dating.
Let's start Dianu.
Guy's body.
Okay.
He used to bring his kids to it.
Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, Moedim Simcha. It's wonderful to celebrate together, to be together, and to have some music with us. Thank you all for being here. We begin this Shabbat with a melody that should sound familiar because you just heard it about 2 weeks ago. Hine Matov, which is on page 10, although it's a slightly different version. Pardon?
First there. Yismechu.
Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. Go to page 13 and forget what I said.
We'll get to Hine Matov in due time. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Betagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim. Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Betagel haaretz. Yirah hayam, Yirah hayam, Eloh. Yirah hayam, Yirah hayam, Yirah hayam, Eloh. Yirah hayam, Yirah hayam, Yirah hayam, Eloh. Yirah hayam, Yirah hayam, Yirah hayam, Eloh. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Betagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Betagel haaretz. Ya'aluz Sadai v'chol shebo Ya'aluz Sadai. Ay, 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 ay. Ya'aluz Sadai v'chol shebo Ya'aluz Sadai. Ay, 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 ay. Az yiranenu kol hatzeyar. Az yiranenu kol hatzeyar. Az yiranenu kol hatzeyar. Az yiranenu
turn to page 10.
You may have heard this song last Saturday when Nefesh Mountain was right here. This is their Hine Matov.
We turn ahead now to page 20 and join together in L'Chadodi. When we reach the final verse, we'll invite everyone to rise in body or spirit and join as we welcome the Sabbath bride. For now, we begin at the beginning of page 20.
Lecha dodi likrat kalam b'nei Shabbat lekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kalam b'nei Shabbat lekavela. Shamo v'zachor Shabbat lechu v'nei עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולם, תוך אמוני המסגולה, בואי חלם, בואי חלם, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת מקבלה.
It's okay. It worked.
Page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalbeit, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalbeit, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalbeit, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malachei Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu, Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu, Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedek Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedek Shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
I almost think we should just end services right there. There's something about it. But no, we continue forward. We turn to page 26 and join together for the Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבם.
אמן.
ילמד יברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ימרו.
Amen.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיא יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי דקודשה בריחו להילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמה וימרו Amen.
We invite everyone to rise in body or spirit once again as we turn the page and join together on page 28, as well as in a tune that Nefesh Mountain shared with us.
I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. I want to hear somebody pray. Down in the valley and over yonder, I want to hear somebody pray. Song sheet, you will see these creative words for the Ma'ariv Aravim, Roll Into Dark. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreyo balayla, kolel Lord mipnei Moshe, kolel Lord mipnei Moshe, v'Moshe mipnei Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreyo balayla, kolel Lord mipnei Moshe, kolel Lord mipnei Moshe, v'Moshe mipnei one more time. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
Page 32.
second song on your song sheet. Open up our eyes. Open up our eyes. Teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Open up our eyes. Teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. And we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Page 36, we continue together.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן.
In just a moment, we'll turn back to our song sheet for Micha Mocha and a piece that was put together by somebody quite well known, although Saul keeps insisting that it was done by Phil Oakes. It's not by Phil Oakes. It's actually by Phil's cousin, Michael Oakes. Did you know they were cousins?
You're making that up.
I'm making that up?
Yeah, I know you well enough now.
They're cousins.
Oh,
we're all first cousins or second cousins?
On their father's side. We join together.
So tonight we get to sing actually the entire song. We've been singing this for the past many months, but it has a really lovely section in the middle that he wrote specifically for Passover. So you'll hear it right in the middle with a tambourine and the mighty hand talking about Miriam and the story of Passover. This is the echo section. And the river is wide, your turn. And the river is wide, and the river is deep. Together, and the river is standing between you and me. And freedom, but we shall overcome one day. Be humble, Hamaelim, Adonai. Be humble, Hanedam, Baruch. Torah tehilot, Torah tehilot, Sefer. And the river is fear, and the river is hate, and the river is standing between us and the gates of freedom, but we shall overcome one day. Be humble, Hamaelim, Adonai. Be humble, Hanedam, Baruch. Torah tehilot, Torah tehilot, Sefer. And the river divides, and the river forgives. This is the Pittsburgh verse. And the rivers of wall, and the rivers of bridge to freedom, freedom. But we shall overcome one day. With a tambourine and a mighty hand, across the sea and the desert sand, let the children sing for Miriam next year in the promised land. Next year in the promised land. Next year in Jerusalem. Next year in Jerusalem. In but we shall overcome one. But we shall overcome one day. Yeah, we shall overcome one day.
I hear a little fill in that. Just saying. We continue on the next page, page 42. Actually, more than 42. We continue on the back of the song sheet where it says Hashkivenu by Dan Nichols.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom Lehamidenu Shomereinu Lechayim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom. Hamidenu Shomereinu Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom. Hamidenu Shomereinu This next piece is Vishamru on page 44.
If you like the melody, thank the cantor. If you don't like the melody, thank the bongo player.
So this is it's not the first time I've sung it here, but it's the first time we've done it with the band. So I'm very excited to bring it all together. It's gonna be really fun. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat La'asot et Hashabbat Ledorotam berit olam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat La'asot et Hashabbat Ledorotam
invite everyone to rise in body or spirit as we turn the page and join together on 46 for the evening tefillah.
Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid, Tehilatecha, Adonai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid, Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotzeinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocheh Chastei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Lifnei B'neihem Lema'an Shemo Mehava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magid Avraham V'Terat Saharam Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatal Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Bichamocha Ba'al Givurot Umido Melach Melech Mebit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'emanatan ha'chayot ha'kol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh ha'kol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kidoshim b'kol yom yahlelucha selah Baruch atah Adonai ha'el ha'kadosh.
We continue now through page 63 silently, as well as the prayers of our own hearts. On page 56, you'll note a special reading for Passover. We encourage you to offer those words of prayer as well, and to please be seated at your own pace.
טסים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. בטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם.
We turn ahead in our prayer books now to page 253, where we'll join together in the Mishaberach prayer, a prayer for healing. On this Shabbat, we especially pray for Alex Botkin, Murray Reinwald, Roz Richmond, Paul Watson, Lisa Osachi, Ellen Keeney, Stephen Bedford, Laura Bedford, Selma Rive, Marilyn Osachi, Laura Fell, Jerry Ann Morgan, Julia Kimes Ecker, Olivia Marad, David Shmuel Ben Sar Riva, Harav Rachel Bat Shmuel Ufruma, Aharon Ben Sarah, Gary Kaplan, Paul Osentoski, Jenny Evoy, Jonah Hart, Dana Green, Leonard Browdy, Ann Fagan, Susan Horn, Shlomo Zacharia Ben Yael Leah, Dale Craghead, Aaron Berezovsky, Ira Berezovsky, Lynn Fields, and Marvin Rulin. If there are other names to mention, I invite you to rise at your place now, and as our eyes meet, to say the name of those friends or loved ones aloud.
Isaac Reese.
Many names I cannot say.
Bob Dorman.
We join together in praying for all of them, for their loved ones, their caregivers, and we join together in the middle of 253.
May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Habracha, love
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rofeh hacholim. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, healer of the sick. And now a few moments to share good things. Who's got something nice to share? Rachel, you got something nice to share?
I do.
Really? God, that's hard to believe.
I got like a bajillion seedlings, and they're all about that high.
Nice.
I had a wonderful Seder this year with family members who I haven't celebrated with in years, and I also found the most delicious Passover chocolate chip cookie recipe.
Share it afterwards.
I will share.
Wait, does it involve honey and matzo bits?
I lost my tooth yesterday while eating matzah.
Did you find it? The matzah or the tooth? All right.
Last night for our second Seder, we took a rather untraditional turn by doing a candy Seder, and we had chocolate chip cookies. Were really good. My mom found a recipe. I made them, and we also had almond cake and a lot of little bits, like little things that are really unsatisfying to eat one by one.
Is this an announcement or is this good news?
It's good news.
You sure?
Yes.
It's not an announcement.
Do you want to go on to the next person?
I'm a little tempted to. Sure, you go ahead.
My oldest son, Zachary, got his first post-college job
Nice.
and will be
Mazel
moving
tov.
to Madison, Wisconsin.
Great town. This better be good.
My friend Cherie will give me the mic. Today is my son David's 33rd birthday, and he started this a few years ago. He ran a mile for each year. So yes, he did 33 miles today.
Wow,
Is that good enough for you?
that's good.
Okay.
That's impressive. John?
This week, we learned that Jacob Schiller will graduate with his PhD on
Nice.
April 27th, finally.
Very nice. So do we have to start calling him doctor in public?
You bet.
I made a Seder, I led the Seder, and everybody had a great time.
Very nice.
I just got accepted to my first job in college, but I got into the School for the Deaf. I'll be working with the students.
Nice. Congratulations. Anything good or only trouble?
No, we had a nice Seder.
You act like you're surprised.
The trouble is in Israel.
Lots of trouble in Israel.
And I haven't slept for 2 months because I listen to what's happening in Israel at night.
Yeah, not good. Who else has something good to share? You don't have a track record.
Our son drove up from Maryland to be with us for the Seder, and it was great because that meant he had to do the 4 questions, and at 29, he was the youngest person at the table.
Just pass it down.
Yeah.
I have 2 pieces of good news. Number 1, I am now a licensed psychologist in Pennsylvania. And number 2 is I received my second beginner's belt in martial arts senior exercise class today.
Be careful in the parking lot.
I'm just super excited that both of my daughters are in town this weekend to celebrate. It'll be a belated Passover, but I don't care because I'm just happy we're all together.
Nice.
About 5 hours ago, my son and daughter with their spouses and my 2 grandsons who are around 4 years of age arrived in the house. And all I can say is it's very different and delightful and a little challenging.
Nice.
Laura.
I don't know if this, is this thing on? Yeah, I guess it's, okay. So a few things. One, I took a group of teenagers to New York 2 weekends ago, and we sang at Lincoln Center. The group is called Hazamir. They have chapters all over the United States and Israel, and we came together for 4 days, packing 6 weeks of summer camp into 4 days, and then we all sang at Lincoln Center, and that was really cool. So that was really cool. And the second thing is, my sister Andrea is here. Okay, she's not happy about this, but yeah, she had a stroke in January of 2022, and you can see she's walking and talking and is doing wonderfully. So
That's great.
that's it.
Does she play the piano?
Not really. No, but she sings and she can play shaky toys, percussion.
Couple from online to mention. Sarah Perman wrote that she had a great Seder with 6 guests in person and loved hearing her son singing Hebrew songs and learning that he sings them throughout the year. Mike Kalura wrote that Rachel did her own research and found a matzah recipe and convinced her home ec teacher to let her do a matzah making demonstration at school this week, complete with a lecture and props to explain Pesach. And Lynn Field says she had an angiogram, all good, still looking for a result for her feet. I don't think angiograms give results for feet. You'll have to look elsewhere. Shall we sing?
Say shalom b'romav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel,
Shabbat Shalom. So it's time for a quick pop quiz. How many places are there on the Seder plate for items? I got one saying 6. I got one saying 5. I got one saying 7. 7. All right, let's try naming them. Those of you who think there are 5, let's start there. Egg, Beitza. Karpas is the greens. Charoset is charoset. Maror is the bitter herbs, the horseradish. The shankbone. And if you think there's a 6th one, what's the 6th one? Lettuce. And if you think there's a 7th one, Elliot, what's the 7th? The orange. Ah. Anybody think there's more than 7? What's the 8th? The egg. Yes, we said the egg. All right, so there's interesting that we got to 7. We'll come back to that. The Seder plate itself is a relatively new invention as Judaism goes. Anybody know when the Seder plate was created? Older than that. Give or take in about the 2nd or 3rd century, when the Seder plate was invented, around the same time that the Seder itself was invented, and around the same time that the Haggadah was invented. All 3 of them come together.
The Seder was celebrated even during the Second Temple in some places.
The Paschal meal was, but the Seder as we know it wasn't. Two different celebrations. Right, so there used to be a 1-day festival and then a 7-day festival. The 1 day was the Paschal offering, where they would offer a Paschal sacrifice to recall the sacrifices that, the Paschal sacrifice that the Israelites did, where they painted the blood on the doorpost and they ate the lamb, and then the next day they took off. And then the next was a 7-day Chag HaMatzot, a 7-day festival of unleavened bread. And Christians often think that the Last Supper was a Passover Seder, but historically speaking, it can't have been, because the Seder hadn't been invented yet when Jesus lived. And so it's one of these interesting little historical bits that all sorts of modern Christians don't know their own history. But the short is that the Seder as we know it didn't exist for a good 150, 200 years later. It could have been that Paschal meal. It well could have been that. But there's no way it was the other. So the items that were included, some of these are easy to come up with and some that are harder. Maror. Why is maror added to the Seder plate? Because it's bitter herb, right. Why is herb so bitter? Because herb was a slave. Bitter herbs remind us of the bitterness of slavery, right? Charoset is another easy one. It reminds us of bricks and mortar, right? And the initial recipe for charoset appears in the Mishnah. In early Jewish law, fruits, nuts, and vinegar. I'm not sure I would recommend it, but that's the early version. Lots of variations on that today. Melissa at our house made one that was from Suriname. It was good. I can't tell you what made it Surinamese, but it was really good. Okay, so that gets us maror and it gets us charoset. Beitza, the egg. Rebirth and renewal, yes, that's easy. But then it has to be a roasted egg. Bingo. It's Korban Pesach. It's the sacrificial offering.
It's also a memory for the destruction, because that's what you serve mourners.
Right. Eggs are a classic food for mourners because they're round and they represent cycle of life. And so the egg's position on the Seder plate is both of renewal and loss at the same time, which is a fascinating juxtaposition. But there's a reason they call the egg the incredible edible egg, because it has all of these multivalent possibilities at once. All right, so that gets us maror, charoset, egg, karpas, parsley, greens. What's that for? Dipping it in the salt water reminds us of the tears, but why the karpas itself? It's green, it's new growth, right? Which works beautifully if you're in the northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's a little trickier. So that gets us to 4. What's the 5th one? The shank bone. What's the shank bone represent? The Passover sacrifice. Okay, did we come up with all 5 of these on our own, or did we borrow some of them?
I say we borrowed some.
So if I tell you that of those 5, we'll come back to the lettuce as number 6 in a minute. But if I tell you that of those 5, one of them is clearly Greek and one of them is clearly Roman, can you tell me which one's which? Because one of them is truly a Greek thing that we borrowed, and one is a Roman thing that we borrowed.
The egg is Greek.
I have to borrow my cheat sheet.
Take lamb.
You'll never guess it.
Egg.
The parsley. Karpas is Greek. Now ask me what's Greek about it. I have no idea. I just know that that's the Greek one. Hanita, of course, does, because she remembers it.
When you eat parsley, it covers all the traces of garlic in your mouth.
So according to Hanita, the parsley covers all traces of garlic in your mouth, and therefore the Greeks liked it. I'll take it. I'll take it. We got a deal. I'll take it. Which one is the Roman one? Not the egg.
The lettuce.
The Seder itself has Roman roots in it, but there's one other one, the shank bone. Why? Why? Yes, you're right. Because Rachel said so, darn it, with a stomp of the foot. The shank bone reminds us of the Roman destruction of Israel. And so when we look at that bone, we see just a remnant. We see a fragment of what once was. That's one piece of it. There's a second piece. Anybody here have lamb for dinner at their Seder? You did. You're rebellious, but I knew that already. So historically, Jews never ate lamb on Seder for a very simple reason. The Romans, the early Romans, were not Christian. They became Christian. And by the time the Seder was invented, by the time Passover had merged these two holidays into one, the Romans had in fact become Christians. And the Jews were afraid that if they ate lamb, they were going to be seen as eating Lamb of God. And who is the Lamb of God? Jesus. And so Jews were afraid that they would be persecuted or worse if they were seen eating a symbol for the deity of the Christians. And so at a time when the Romans were in charge, the Jews made a conscious choice. Don't serve lamb on Pesach. Now, we ended up with chicken. God knows how we got to brisket. I do know how we got to brisket. That's a whole different story. Brisket's a 19th century addition to the Seders. And only in America, with maybe you could argue it in Eastern Europe, but only maybe. But lamb, dafka, for real, was not included because lamb was seen as an affront to Christians. All right, so we've got one Greek edition, one Roman edition. Where's the lettuce come from? Right.
That's like at the end it turns into sweet.
Exactly. Whose tradition was it that brought that onto the Seder plate?
Well, in the podcast they were bringing it out from the book of Pesachim. I can't remember which one.
It's as much as I could tell in doing background work, it's a Sephardic custom more than an Ashkenazi custom. Which explains why Seder plates today, which would reflect the custom in Eretz Yisrael, have 6 places, not 5. But you're exactly right, that it is what lettuce does. When you take the first bite of lettuce, it's sweet. but as the bite lingers, it gets a little bit more sour in your mouth. Okay, so then let's talk.
Horseradish doesn't grow in the Middle East.
Right, horseradish doesn't grow in the Middle East too.
It's a European
Right.
cold weather vegetable.
All right, so let's talk about the additional ones. So the orange, what's the history of the orange? A woman rabbi, a woman belongs as a rabbi like an orange belongs on a Seder plate. Happened to Susanna Heschel, who is the daughter of Abraham Joshua Heschel, and there were a whole lot of people, including a whole lot of us, who said nuts to that, and we're going to put an orange on our Seder plate. So an orange became added to the Seder plate. But here are a few other additions. Anybody else know of any other additions to the Seder plate? All right, so this I actually had to write down because I lost track of it. What'd you say, Lynn? A date. Nice. So the Reform movement actually produced a list of additional things that were added. Anybody ever seen a potato on a Seder plate?
No.
That was put on to recall the Ethiopians and to honor the Ethiopian Jews who came out of Ethiopia and came to America. Anybody ever seen chocolate or cocoa beans on a Seder plate? Anybody opposed to adding chocolate to the Seder? So chocolate was added in as a statement towards labor and fair trade. Anybody ever seen a banana on a Seder plate? This was added much more recently, just in the last 5 years, as a statement about refugees. Anybody ever seen cashews on a Seder plate? Another vote for cashews. Cashews were added on as a statement of support for the troops. I have no idea why. Anybody seen an acorn added to the Seder plate? An acorn was added to recognize the indigenous peoples on the land in which we live. And so what happened is that in each generation, or at least in our generation a whole bunch of times, people saw that the Seder plate had powerful symbolism. And by adding something to that big symbol, they could elevate it. Right? If we really want to work on making sure that women belong on the bima, putting an orange on a Seder plate once a year, maybe twice a year, ain't enough. Let's be honest, it's not enough. But we do it as a symbol to say, at this moment, we really are going to expand our understanding of what ritual life means in Judaism, and we're going to expand how we comprehend this, and we're going to add a symbol to that which might seem like it is impenetrable. And then it keeps going from there to the next, to the next, to the next. In each case, what we're doing is saying that symbolism counts. We're also saying that symbolism can change, that sacred things can change, right? The sanctuary in which we're seated right now, where all of you are seated, would look unfathomable. Nobody could comprehend this style of a synagogue just 250 years ago. This would have been completely opposite of what they would have thought. If you'd walked into a synagogue 250 years ago, you would have found the cantor and me about here, give or take, in the middle, and you all would have been sitting not in front of us, but surrounding us. The reason you're sitting as you do, facing one direction, is thanks to the Christians. It's the Jews who were emancipated in the middle of the 1800s who said, we want our services to have more decorum, to be more proper, to look more like the Christians. And so they made it so that it was a frontal experience. And they put the rabbi and the cantor up on high, up there. And the rabbi and the cantor started wearing robes. Thank God we don't have to still wear those, right, cantor? Although on high holidays we do. And so all of these changes are each generation sort of adding its own thing. If I were designing a synagogue building from scratch today, I would look long and hard at moving the bima back into the middle. because it's not just Thunderbirds and PT Cruisers that make the old look new again. It's also a sense of what we believe as a community. And when the rabbi and the cantor are smack in the middle among, it's different than when we're up on high back there. And both Cantor and I try to lead and try to be a part of the community as if we're standing up here, not up there. We're not always perfect with it, don't get me wrong, but we really try to do it from here. Passover then, at its heart, is a powerful symbol. It is a symbol that says we have things that go back centuries, millennia, but even those sacred symbols can be changed. We can grow and we can learn, we can add. And so I hope this Passover there's some new experience, some new way of understanding the holiday that will add to your understanding of what it means to be a Jew celebrating Passover. And if you haven't found one yet, keep looking. The holiday's we're not even halfway there yet. So take a chance and look through it. There are lots of ways to add to the holiday to make it new and meaningful and rich for all of us. And our tradition calls us to do just that. So with that, Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach. And if you need ideas for Pesach, say the word to me in the Oneg afterwards, and I'll be happy to share a few ideas with you. Shabbat Shalom. We have a few announcements. I hope you received the announcement sheet when you entered. And thanks to our greeters who came in, who welcomed everybody in. Did you get the announcement sheet? Can I steal it? Ha, I just did. We don't have Next Door this Sunday. We don't have Teen School on Monday. We don't have Talmud on Tuesday, and we don't have Parshat HaShavua on Wednesday because it's the holiday. We do have end of Passover services on Wednesday, jointly with Rodef Shalom and Ohav Shalom. They will take place here, and we're excited to be able to have everybody together. And coming up after the holiday is done, all sorts of activities return, and we get back to sort of the full schedule of temple life. We're going to turn now in our prayer books to page 278. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. We are in a special period of time between the beginning of Passover and Shavuot, the period of counting the Omer. And so we count each night for 49 nights. Last night we counted the first night. That can tell you what we're about to count now on the second night. And so we join together. Hineni muchan u'mezuman l'kayem mitzvah aseh shel sfirat ha'omer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat ha'omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom shtei yom la'omer. Today is the second day of the Omer. And when we get to a point where we have weeks and more days than a week, then we'll get to how many weeks and days it is. We continue standing as we turn to page 282. We join together for Aleinu L'Shabeach.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Be seated. We pause now to think of those whose yortzeit occurs in the coming days, those who joined together to create this community, those who gave us life, those with whom we shared life. On this Shabbat, we especially think of Jeremy I. Adelman, Samuel Baskin, Samuel Kerr McLeod Bedford, Benny Berger, Alfred W. Brody, Geraldine Borowski, Paul Brown, Diane Callum, Miriam Marcus Charon, Joseph Choduk, Audrey Cohen, Alan Cookson, Jean Davidson, Peter Dozy, Edgar Allan Edelsack, Hilda Goldstein, Clarence Gomberg, Gertrude Greathouse, Abraham Honig, Eloise Lane Jenkins, Jeanette Calson, Sam Lebovitz, Fred Lande, Barry Lembersky, Howard Love, Stella Mordo, Martha Moskowitz, Gerald Polinsky, Rose Rosen, Hilda Ruttenberg, Barbara Shore, Velvel Schulman, Dora C. Weiss. And to those names we add the name of Alfred Klein, who died just in recent weeks. We rise now as one congregation and join together in the words of Kaddish found on 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam l'amei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudasha b'richu. Leheya min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May God grant comfort to all who are bereaved, and together we say, amen. Our thanks to the members of the band. We're thrilled to have you here, especially the bongo player. I have not the guts to ask the bongo player what she's picturing on the face of the drum every time she smacks it. But I have a pretty good hunch of what it is.
It's right there.
There's already a photo there?
It's on here.
It's engraved.
Yeah,
I figured.
It's in my brain.
All right, we join together in singing. Please join with us.
Page 11.
Elech hamda libi, 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 Elech hamda libi.
Chag Sameach.